finally raced the Studebaker. All right, I guess we'll put some glass in this.
Put some glass in this thing? Okay.
You ever installed glass before?
Actually, one time, a long, long time ago in a Ford pickup, and it went good.
Okay, well, you got more experience than I do then.
Yeah, watch the steering column.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it upside down.
Oh, I thought that was...
I thought it was too. Huh,
then you put the rope on the wrong side.
I put the rope on the wrong side. Well, okay, I guess we'll start with the passenger.
Okay.
I think the key is to kind of pull it towards the center of the windshield.
Yeah, and all you got to do is just use that on the glass and our work will be done here.
Yeah. It would. Well, this side went in. It's really hard to find information about putting in these windshields. There's not really a whole lot.
Really? I figured there would have been a graphic novel on putting glass in a Studebaker. So obviously, since the last time you saw the car, Brandon has thrown some epoxy primer on here. It was not the original paint color scheme that he wanted to go with. He wanted to do like a gold down here with a white top, but Billetproof is coming up in exactly 1 month here, so we kind of wanted to do that so that we could at least have something on there and get this thing ready to go. And now we've got a big list of stuff to finish up. So the other day we took the car for a spin. And everything actually seemed to work pretty good, aside from the fact that the rear end kind of settled out, and so the tires were kind of coming up and rubbing on the fenders. And with the leaf springs, we really don't have any adjustability there, plus we kind of figured the leaf springs are old, so why go through the trouble of trying to remount things to get the axle down lower so it doesn't rub on the fenders and all that, when we should just go ahead and install some coilovers. So surprise, surprise, another system that we designed and spent hours putting together is going to get taken apart to put something else on once again.
Once again.
So Brandon right now is working on building mounts to do that, and while he's doing that, I'm going to install the wiring for the headlights, which really is not critical in any way, but why not?
Well, if we run into that same situation like we did the other night, where it starts to get dark on the track,
yeah, then you kind of need them.
Have to make a little tidbit regarding the coilovers, because like they're gonna be like, I knew that wouldn't work.
I know.
Be like, well, it did work, but it just kind of settled out weird and it's not adjustable. Didn't have much room for adjustment. And they're 70-year-old leaf springs. I just didn't feel all that happy about it.
So anytime you're going to be powering something that will exceed the amperage rating of your switch, you have to install a relay. These relays are rated normally at much higher amperage than these switches. And that's exactly what we're going to do with these headlights. Do you want me to pull the headlight power from a fuse?
Yeah, because that switch panel is actually on a fuse.
Okay, perfect.
Just a little technique for keeping everything straight when I weld the mounts together. Put them up in there like that, tack them in, and then we'll see what the right height is. I think I'm gonna put a 5/8 hole in the bottom corner, and I'm gonna tie that into the bottom ladder bar mount, and then I'm gonna have to weld it to anchor it, and then go over to the other one and do that one. It's usually better if you got a coil spring compressor.
That's what you're supposed to do, and your friend slips and falls is laugh at him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, dude.
Like a pro.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's not how pros do it, but it's how I do it. Problem is that I still kind of wanted the car to be a little bit lower, but, well, that's 1.5 inches. Yeah, actually 1.5 inches is pretty good.
I think that's perfect, actually.
Yeah. Get those nappy springs out of there. It's gonna look nice. All right, let there be light.
No light. Seriously? Is the battery switch on back there?
Oh, there's no fuse. Because that's right, I forgot. I jumpered all of them except for the lights. So it's not powered off of the rest of them.
So just so everybody knows, the reason the lights didn't work is because Brandon said that the switch was wired all the way and he just hadn't put a fuse in for that switch. So it should work now, we're hoping.
Yep.
Man,
Should we close the house?
I think they need some adjustment. They seem like they're pointed really low.
Now we can street race in the middle of the night.
Yep. Whew, I thought my wiring was effed there for a second.
Okay, so we're gonna take the carburetors off and we're gonna rejet them and we're gonna pull the power valves out of them. Also got some vacuum secondary cans that have a port on them, so we can attach both of them together to help them open evenly. But when I put these together, I just got some cheap carbs and I just rebuilt them, and actually it worked pretty good. But I'm pretty sure that they're the wrong power valves in there. They're 6.5 HG power valves, so we're just gonna get rid of those and block them off. And hopefully that'll make it easier to adjust, but yeah, we'll see. Could save this race gas and dump it in the wacky machine.
To all the haters, that is not 50-to-1 mixed freaking chainsaw fuel. That is race fuel.
No, this is 110 trick.
So these here are ironically called power valves. The reason I say ironically is because their actual purpose is to give you better fuel economy at light loads by restricting the fuel flow when there's high vacuum in the manifold and get a little better fuel economy. That's why the carburetors come with them from the factory. When you're at high load, like wide open throttle, this will let a little bit of extra fuel in to compensate by having smaller jets in your carburetor. So when you have an all-out race car, these aren't really all that necessary. In fact, they can make it a little bit more difficult to get the thing tuned right. So what we're gonna do is replace this with a plug, and then we'll step the jet sizes up. And we don't really need to worry about fuel economy at light loads, obviously, in this car. All it's gonna take from that point is just going up or down jet sizes. No need to worry about the power valve.
Also, if you're rebuilding the Holly, get the blue gaskets. If you ever rebuilt one that was stock, you'll know why. See, we also want to change out the jets. Nifty little tool. It's really easy to screw them up when you're using a screwdriver like this. A lot of times, a screwdriver doesn't always fit in there right, or you slip out, slip over like that, then it screws up the ends. So yeah, those are a handy little tool. I mean, you don't have to have it, but it's nice. Yeah, so these are 66s. Getting rid of the power valve, we're gonna need to go up. I'm thinking we'll go 72s. I feel like our idle's pretty far open.
The transfer slot, when you're closed, should look like a little square.
As
It
it
should
is
be as
wide?
high as it is wide.
So the idea is to open these up just a hair and close those just a hair. And that should help us pull fuel out of the actual idle holes better with these being a little bit more closed. Yeah, see, it wasn't even touching the stop. So that should definitely help with the idle. I suspect though that I took more out of this than I put into that. Yeah, whatever. That's good enough. Okay, so if you do remove the choke, this one had manual choke on it, and which mounted to these 3 holes. but it capped off this hole where you see where I got the screw right here. And if you don't plug that hole off, you're gonna have a leak. Basically that hole goes through the center here, and you'll be pulling air through that. So what I did is I just tapped this and put a screw in it, and that way that seals off and I can get rid of the choke mechanism.
So this is a quick change pod. And what it does is it replaces this with this guy that has a hole in it. And then this guy is what holds the spring down in there. So if we find that the secondaries are not opening the way we want them to, if they're causing like a stumble because they're opening too early, or if we're lacking power because they're opening too late or whatever, this makes it nice and easy to change the spring. You just pull the 2 screws off that holds this in, and then you can change this little spring out.
Yep, and it also makes it easier to assemble the whole thing because you don't have to hold the spring in there, because you can just drop the spring in second. We haven't really got a chance to get on it much, but when we did, couldn't really tell if the secondaries were opening or not. So we're gonna go one step lighter. We want to get to a point where we know that they're opening, we can feel them open.
Yeah, the plan is if it has a little bit of a stumble when you get on it, then we know they're opening, and then we can just go one size stiffer.
Oh, those secondaries feel so much sweeter.
Okay, so there she is. It's got all the new good stuff on it. And now we just got to do the exact same thing to that carburetor right there, and then we can slap it all back together. Okay, so as many of you are aware, our plan was to take this thing to the Billetproof Drags, which would have been exactly 3 weeks from today. But Billetproof's been canceled. And so now our plan is to take this thing to a test and tune that's going on 1 week from today. So basically what we're gonna do is whittle the list down to the bare essentials and get this thing going. Today he's working on putting Lexan windows in, and I'm gonna work on getting the throttle linkage fixed up and getting a catch can installed, amongst a bunch of other little things, so that this thing will run right and they'll let it go down the track with no leaks of coolant or anything like that. Okay, so basically what we got going on here is this throttle bracket that we have on here does not allow full throttle when you push on the gas pedal, because the geometry here is just not allowing the cable to pull on this far enough. So I'm gonna figure out a bracket here that gives us full throttle. Suppose I probably should have thrown a fender blanket on.
Yeah, probably shoulda. I never did figure out a good spot for that thing, because
There isn't one? I mean, right in here would probably work. Time to celebrate. We got a catch can in there, we got the throttle on there, we got full throttle. This is good. This makes it look like we're like working on the thing super duper late to try to get it like... No, it's 9.
it's 9 o'clock. This is super duper late.
Oh no, we want people to think we're working on it till like 2 in the morning, get up at 6 o'clock, 4 hours of sleep. Yikes!
Yeah, I treated it pretty good. Sounds like a car door when it shuts now.
Oh, it doesn't go doing. Oh, glass finally. Well, and some glorified plastic, but. Yeah, definitely looks good with all the windows in it. Not to mention they require those to take it down a drag strip, so. Well, cool. Now, tomorrow we can get on to tuning these carburetors. Take it down the street.
Raise a little hell.
Yeah, raise a little hell with it, and cool. Well, that's it for the day then. 10:30.
No. 3:30 in the morning. Finally got the windows in.
Hey everybody, we want to thank each and every one of you for watching our show. And if you feel like showing some extra support, head on over to our website, notrodshop.com, and check out our store. We've got shirts, hats, hoodies, and more. Now enjoy the show.
So, I'll turn the power on, and we're just gonna check for fuel leaks. And we can double check fuel pressure. Make sure that's good. Once that's good, we'll fire it up, roll it out. See if it'll run.
There is nothing like driving a home-built rig out of the garage for the first time. Whether it's a Jeep, Gasser, whatever. I don't care if you only go 30 feet. Just the feeling of driving something where every nut and bolt was put there by you. There is nothing else like it.
Wow, it idles way better.
So tuning's going all right, but probably the biggest issue we got at this point is that the tach keeps wanting to jump, even if you just hold the throttle steady above like 3,500 RPM. And the shift light is also actually coming on too at about, I don't know, 5,000 RPM when the tach gets to that point, even though it's not actually at 5,000 RPM. So we need to definitely get that fixed before this thing can be raced. So right now what we're gonna do is Brandon's gonna try reprogramming the ignition box and see what that does.
1,000, fatal rev limit. I'm just gonna set it at 7,000 for now. Yeah, I see how it goes up to 7 on the tach like it should.
It's jumping up to 40 degrees almost when we get it up into RPMs, but your distributor's totally locked out. It's got no mechanical advance.
0 advance.
And that box doesn't compensate for RPM.
Yeah, see, I was getting some at 40, but it's getting sporadic. Like I'm just totally missing the spark. Like it's not even triggering the light, or it's triggering the light totally at the wrong spot. And I think the problem stems from the distributor possibly. What you doing? You trying to get all up in my business here?
So we've gone through and done a bunch of stuff to try to get that tach and the shift light working right, and just no luck so far. We've added ground wires. We've disconnected the alternator, thinking maybe there might have been some interference generated from that. We've done a bunch of stuff. And so now what we're thinking is maybe, since the distributor's not the same brand as the ignition box, maybe the module inside the distributor is kind of causing some crosstalk between the two or something like that, and they just don't like each other. Or the module could even be bad in the distributor. So what we're going to do is get rid of the module in the distributor, and we're just going to wire the magnetic pickup directly to the ignition box, because the ignition box has a separate plug that you can do that with. So we figured out which wires go to which on the magnetic pickup, so we just got to do some rewiring here to get rid of the module, and then we're going to try it after that.
Oh, that might work good enough for us. Okay, I should be able to reassemble everything now.
Hopefully it fixes it.
Runs better. Finally figured it out.
Okay, so success. That actually ended up being the problem. Just taking that module out of the equation in the distributor, fixed the thing completely. It even seems to run better now. So we just got to tidy up our wires here, because we just kind of routed it around the door so we could test it. And then we can actually take this thing for a spin and do some tuning on the carbs. Yeah. That right there has been the bane of Brandon's existence for months.
Oh.
No fuel pump, that'll make a difference. 5,000 RPM. Whoa! That was still only 6. Whoa!
Whoa, that thing's a heat machine.
Yeah. All right, man, what a successful day. All right, so the test drive was a screaming success. And honestly, it seems like between pulling the power valve out of it and changing the jet size the way we did, I can't think of anything we could possibly do to make it run better. So I think this thing is...
It's in pretty good shape right now, I think. Maybe once we get out to the track, we can check plugs, or maybe I'll check plugs later.
Yeah.
See what those are saying, but it seems to run pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's running darn good. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Or wait, no, scratch that. Will we make it in time? I don't know. I mean, we've only got 5 days. How's this gonna work? Okay, can we do it? I don't know. Oh, that was my impression of most car shows.
I want to see if the line lock works.
Oh yeah. Yeah, do a burnout.
Yeah, I'll just see if I can do a little burnout.
It skid the front tires because you're on gravel. But it did start spinning them, so I mean, it seems like it'll work.
Okay.
Okay, so we just went through tech inspection, and what we're gonna do right as soon as they announce test and tunes, we're gonna head this thing over there, and I'm gonna watch him go down the track a few times, and then later on we'll race the Studebaker and the Nova.
Is this test and tune lane?
I think they all are, but I'm gonna see about getting a number on your car.
Oh!
Almost had a big screw up there, had to go find one of these. So the moment of truth is coming right up here. We're gonna see what this baby can really do. Hopefully it won't blow up. We don't think it will. We'll find out. Unfortunately, he got beat, but at least it made it down to the end of the track.
Ooh.
$8,337. I'll convert that to a quarter mile time for everybody just so they know what it really is. How much more do you think it's got in it?
Oh, it's got a ton more in it. I mean, that was a really light, I shifted out of first really early, maybe 55, maybe. And then second, I ran second a little bit further, and then I got into third. And at that point, I was kind of feeling like a high vibration shake maybe almost. I was kind of rattling my eyeballs a little bit, and I was starting to f***ing haul ass, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get out of it a little bit. Yeah, it's fast.
Yeah, so
it's you know, shook me up a little bit. That was exciting. That was exciting.
So we don't like the hoses resting on the hot manifold here. So in classic knot rod fashion, we're gonna put a zip tie between these two zip ties here. And that way that'll just pull this up like that and get it off the manifold. It's okay to use zip ties as long as you trim the tails. You can use zip ties on whatever you want. You just have to trim the tails and then it's okay. I just wish he had some twist ties. That would have really topped this off. So Brandon's gonna go ahead and throw some weights on the back wheels to maybe try to balance them out a little bit better. The guy at the tire place told him exactly where to put them and all that stuff. So we're hoping that that'll get the shimmy to go away at high speed. And then on the next race, I'm actually gonna go up against Brandon because we figure that before he gets too much seat time, if I race him now, then I might actually have a chance to maybe be within like 1 second of his time or something, but we'll see. went exactly how we thought it was gonna go. Except I was not expecting that to be a pro tree. I thought that was gonna be a sportsman tree. So I have a feeling my reaction time was pretty messed up.
How'd it run?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Finally raced each other.
Yeah, that was awesome.
8:30.
Oh, hey, that's not bad.
I wouldn't have even beat you on your first run, but would have been closer. 7-7 for you.
7-7.
Nice.
Yeah, so we added some wheel weights to it, and it felt way better. It was pretty shaky the first go around up at the higher speeds, but it felt pretty good. Either that or I powered through it this time, I don't know.
So the crazy thing here is our 60-foot times Brandon's was 1.9. My 60-foot was 1.7. So apparently having a manual transmission and just dumping the clutch at about 3,000 RPM will get you down in your 60-foot pretty quick. But then of course he just took off.
You know what? I didn't try and stall it up very good either.
Well, now we just got to go back out there and do it again. Except I'm driving the Studebaker this time.
Well, here's our tune-up. It's definitely lean. I don't want to hurt anything, but it looks like all the edges are crisp. They're all sharp on that, so we're not trying to melt plugs or anything, so it's probably okay.
If the plugs aren't trying to melt, then you're probably all right. Well, we either need to race or change jets, but not talk about changing jets.
We better get another pass out of there. Oh, we're not gonna get the 55. Damn!
Bummer. That sucks.
Kept up with that guy pretty good.
Yeah. I think with a little bit better of a launch and more RPM in first gear, you probably could have had him. Yeah. With day one coming to an end, we scrambled to make some last-minute adjustments to our cars so we could both make one last pass before they closed for the night. Brandon was able to make it out for a timed run and was able to get a 7.3. Unfortunately, I got out there just as they were shutting the generators down and throwing the cords out of the tower, but the track officials were cool enough to let me go down for an untimed run anyway. But with the water box getting dry and the starting line getting slick, I just ended up with some mad wheel hop. I guess it's time for some slapper bars. So far pretty minimal issues with the Stude. We pulled a couple of spark plugs and it looks like it's running just a little too lean for comfort. So we're gonna go up one jet size in both primaries and up 2 jet sizes in both secondaries. We think that'll put it right where we want it. And then we also mounted a camera right up in here so that we can monitor what the vacuum secondaries are doing. And they're not really completely opening until after he gets in third gear. So we're gonna put a little bit lighter of a spring in the secondaries and see if we can get those to open up just a little bit quicker. Okay, so yesterday Brandon ended up getting 4 passes in and kept getting faster and faster every time, finally running a 7.3 on his last run. So hopefully we can try to get this thing into the 6s today. I think that that's really pushing it, but that's gonna kind of be our goal. Is if we can run like a 6.99, that would be really fantastic.
Ready?
So another problem that we were having yesterday is the thing wasn't quite idling right. So when he was at the line a few times, he actually stalled it to do his burnout and stuff like that, trying to keep it running. So we're gonna adjust the idle mixture just a little bit and probably turn the idle up to maybe like 1500 because it is an automatic, so that should help him out a little bit there.
So if last time I did it, it seemed like if we got it to run the best and then fatten them all up just a little bit.
Okay, the front ones ended right back up at 1 3/4.
You know, that might be as good as we're gonna get it.
Yeah. Because it'll still die even where it's at.
It'll still die, but it's way easier to deal with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm okay with that. It's definitely better than it was yesterday.
It's a good race. I couldn't see who won. Hood's open.
Well, I lost the alternator belt and I got really hot, so I'm letting it cool down, and then I'll run back maybe with the next group.
Yeah, 230 degrees.
Yeah, 230. It's cooling pretty quick.
This should be okay. I don't think 230 is gonna hurt it. Well, I'll be curious to see what your time is. I'm not sure which one of you won that race.
He was just ahead of me, just a hair. That's no water pump.
The problem is if you got to shut down in the middle of the track on the way back for it to cool off because it's getting too hot, then they're not going to be able to race.
Yeah.
So it might be best to just get towed back at least to the staging lanes.
Ah, man.
I know it's the toe of shame,
It's
but
the toe.
it's better than sitting in the middle of the track and having everybody get pissed off at you.
I'm okay with that if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
All right.
So before Dave gets here with the ticket, what do you think you ran?
I felt maybe a little faster than the last run, but not a whole lot. 7.2, 7.15 maybe. Okay.
So you thought he beat you, huh? What was
7.114. Man, we're creeping up on that 699.
Cool, he beat somebody. Awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Now, it looks like the alternator, for one, is cocked a little bit back.
That plate has a bend in it and it looks like it should be flat.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But also, it looks like the whole alternator should be twisted a little bit.
But I mean, it made it 4 passes, so if you shift it out a little bit, it would probably...
But I went over the shift lead on this one, so I probably was at I think it was about 6,800 when I shifted into third. It was running better than it did yesterday until I got to the end and it got hot instantly. And
so we're pretty happy with our shakedown run, so I think we're probably just going to call it and maybe do a few little modifications after we get the car back. But I mean, hey, we ran a 7.1 its first time out in the 8th. I think that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd say that's a damn good start.
So the moral of the story is, though, it really doesn't matter what you build. You can go slow, you can go fast, it doesn't matter. Just build something you love, get out here, get on the track, and go racing. Because you know what? You can have fun with either one. Is it funner to go faster? You bet. But the bottom line is, if you got something you love, just get out there and have fun with it. Brandon has wanted a gasser from a dead manufacturer for as long as I can remember, and I've wanted a 3rd gen Chevy 2 Nova since I was a teenager. And I can honestly say, this is the funnest time I've ever had on a racetrack. Maybe even the funnest time I've had in a car, period. And if you're gonna go full on knot rod, fun is what it's all about. See you next time.
Wait, no, actually it is 50 mix. No.
8337. I'll confirm that over. How's that sound? Good?
Yeah, that sounded good.
I feel like I needed to be a little bit more intense. They canceled the thing, and so now we've got to get this thing going in 1 week.
You should have done that. Why don't you reshoot that?
Reshoot it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it. So our plan was to get this thing done for the races in 3 weeks, but now Billetproof's been canceled. So now we've got to take this thing and have it ready in 1 week from today. So we got to thrash on this thing to get it going and ready in time. Hopefully we can do it. I don't know if we can. Can we? I don't know.
You just have to watch and see.
You just have to watch and find out.
I love it. That's awesome. All right.